difficulties. All right, let's see here. Are you an expert in mortgage, finance, or real estate transactions? Most people aren't. Subscribe to learn more from experts. At RAM, Real Estate and Mortgage on YouTube is a great place to learn and educate yourself on the complexities of mortgage and real estate. Get real-life questions answered or browse our many videos covering the topics you desire. Better yet, get real-life scenarios and answers for your questions without obligation. My goal is to educate, motivate, and inspire everything in real estate. Even if you're not ready today, tomorrow, or even next year, here is the place that you can go to get real life scenarios of what we're trying to do. Learn what you need to do on your first home purchase, the sale of a house, or buying the home of your dreams. Like I said, whether today, next month, or next year, RAM is the place for you. Today, we have a special guest. He's a friend of mine. This is Rick Silva with Utah Appraisal Solutions. Did I get that right, or is it Utah Solutions Appraisal?
Yeah, Utah Appraisal Solutions. You can find us online. Yeah, www.utahappraisalsolutions.com. Yeah.
And Rick and I, we go way back. We've golfed together. We've talked about lots of properties. He's appraised my own properties. Rick and I actually met when we were doing a lot of new construction, and Rick is an absolute gem when it comes to new construction appraisals.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate that.
Rick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been an appraiser for going on 32 years at this point. I've been an avid investor throughout that time frame, and I guess to say I'm kind of a quasi developer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've done some development deals. I've built some homes. I've bought and sold probably 200 homes.
And you have some homes for sale right now, do you not? That you actually have built.
I put one under contract yesterday, Craig.
High five to you, man.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, I needed that one. Yeah, put it under contract yesterday. Yep.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yep.
And like I said, Rick has been in the business a long time. Things have changed over the last 32 years, though, in appraisals and real estate and mortgage.
Yeah. There's the Dodd-Frank Act changed everything, and forget what year that came out, but it was after the mortgage crisis in 2008. So
yeah,
it was
2010, and then I think it was fully instituted by 2013 into 2015.
Yeah.
But yeah, things drastically changed from them. I've got a couple of questions here. I've taken down some notes, and if you have anything that you want to add, obviously I want you to just jump in as well.
Absolutely.
One of the major questions, Rick, that most people have is, your appraisal is the gospel. It is the honest, absolute truth, no questions asked, right?
Not necessarily. Depends who's asking.
So it's not the absolute value of the appraisal?
No, it varies from assignment to assignment for sure. If you know how that works, really you're just getting an opinion of value for the bank. I like to call appraisals risk assessment.
Oh, I like that. I like that word. Yeah. Risk assessment, because, you look, we have builders that are building. We have people that are reselling their houses. You buy a house 3 years later, you're just doing some math in your head thinking, okay, well, my house is better than everybody else's on the street. So I absolutely had 6 or 7% appreciation when everybody else only had 2%. My house is worth X. Everybody else is worth Y. Rick, you need to bring that value into me.
Yeah, everybody's an expert. And I always say, as an appraiser, it's when you have, sometimes you got to tell people they have an ugly baby. It's hard. It's hard, Greg.
I've never everybody said that way.
Everybody thinks they got the most beautiful baby in the world. Every parent thinks that way, right?
Well, to them they do, right? And
yeah,
their house
they do.
And their house is their castle, so of course they're going to think it's better than the neighbors.
Other than your children, it's their biggest asset, right? So sometimes you just got to tell people what they need to hear, and especially the banks and underwriters.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I assume, when you do an appraisal, and I see this all day long. I'm obviously a lender. I see this all day long, though. An appraisal comes in, it says at value, no subject to, nothing at all. But then all of a sudden, the underwriter says, well, I want him to comment on this, and I want him to get another comp for this, and I want him to justify X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, it happens.
How do you deal with that? I mean, it probably happens on all files, does it not?
A lot. Yeah, more than half. You're going to have some type of rebuttal with an underwriter as an appraiser. You're going to have, an example, I've had a lot of homes that I'm appraising with ADUs, right?
And let's just determine what that means, because not everybody
Yeah.
knows what that means.
Yeah. That's very, I mean, that's becoming more prevalent these days. And that's, there's two different types. You can have an ADU in the house, like a lower level mother-in-law.
Accessory
And
dwelling unit is what that
yeah,
means.
yeah, that's there's also the detached ADU.
Right.
And as of late, I've seen a lot of those, Craig. I've seen a lot of homes where they're putting a second home on one lot. And as an appraiser, I have to determine the value of both homes on the one lot. And the underwriters are coming back and saying, hey, I need a comp with two homes on one lot.
Yeah. Wow. What a
Yeah, good
nightmare.
luck. Good luck.
And granted, the U.S. or not U.S., but the Utah legislature several years ago basically made it statewide available that ADUs are acceptable, so that we can try to stay ahead of the housing needs for the migration of people into Utah. But
Yeah.
not all entities or not all cities are the same. For example, I believe in some entities, Salt Lake, for example, I think you can have a detached ADU or accessory dwelling unit. But I think in other areas, for example, Fruit Heights, up in the Davis County area, I don't believe you can have a detached ADU. It has to be part of the house, and there's certain requirements and restrictions on
Yeah.
who can or can't be into that.
Yeah, that's
So,
absolutely correct.
so that makes your job a nightmare when all of a sudden you have this one house on the block that has an ADU, and they want another comp with another house that has an ADU comparable to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And generally, I can do part of it. I can get plenty of homes with mother in law apartments because that is becoming very common,
Right.
especially on entry level housing.
Right.
And you're also seeing it in the really expensive homes but it's not really being used as a second kitchen. It's just that they can afford to have a second kitchen down next to their theater room, right?
I hear that.
So,
I did one in my house.
yep, exactly. Yeah, the house I just put under contract had a second kitchen, and by no means would that be used as a rental unit.
Right.
That was strictly for entertainment purposes.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So you get these rebuttals, and I know that the lenders have a risk assessment. I think they call it a CU score, is what I'm thinking they call
Yeah,
that.
it is.
And
It is.
I
Yeah,
think it's a 1 to 5, and I think 5 being the good, 1 being the bad. Is that correct?
that is correct. And a lot of times that's just language that is kicked out through the underwriting process, and it's probably templated into the underwriter's job, and then they forward it to us, asking us to reply to try to bump the score up. Right, that's what they're trying to do, is
Right.
ultimately provide a comp to get that score so you can get it through underwriting. That's
Because technically, I don't think the lender can actually do a loan on a score below a 1 or below a
yeah,
2 or something like that. I
yeah,
think it has to be a
exactly.
3, 2.5, or above in order for them to say this collateral is good enough that we want to lend on. And it's a risk based score, of course. So that makes your job pretty difficult. You're kind of running around. Obviously, you go out and do your inspections, and then you come back and have to kind of fight with the underwriters and the lenders to try to take the information that you got to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're pretty proactive in that. I kind of, through the years being in business for 30 years, I don't want to have it come back. I don't want to have to find another comp. So
Right.
we're looking to bracket everything before we submit it. I'm working on one today. Didn't have a basement where many of the homes did, so I found at least two comps with no basements. And then we're bracketing, GLA. We're bracketing basement, and we're doing everything we
GLA meaning
can.
gross living area.
That's correct. Yeah, many people not in real estate don't understand that above grade is appraised differently than below grade square
Interesting.
footage. So, yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second. So
Mhm.
a Rambler obviously is built with a basement and an upper level, and sometimes a level above that or a half a level.
Mhm.
And when you're
Right.
talking about GLA or gross living area, you're talking about basically the main floor or above, not necessarily
Right.
below.
No, that's correct. Yeah, yeah, and
But what about the modern home or the not necessarily tri-level, but there's a more modern home that
mm,
everything is kind of built up.
yeah, yeah. You come in areas too. If you're on a hillside, you're going to have three-quarters of the house above grade, but maybe you have one wall below grade.
Right.
Right. That's technically basement.
Interesting.
Yep.
That is interesting.
Yep.
So here's the question that I've had for 30 plus years.
Okay, let's hear it.
I go under contract, the seller and we agree on a value. We obviously get the appraisal. I would say 99% of the time in 32 years, it comes in pretty much what that appraised value or what that offer was. Because a value of a house is only what someone's willing to pay for it, logically.
Yep. Yep.
Now let's reverse that. I want to do a refinance. How come my appraised value is not the same on a refinance?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Our mind, it's, it comes down to kind of mindset when you go into a purchase. As I led into this video, risk assessment, right? On a purchase, as an appraiser, people need to understand that our job is strictly to support the purchase price. That's what we're trying to do.
End of day. We're trying to
End of
support a
day.
purchase
Well,
price.
we're going in that with the mindset of, okay, is this home worth the purchase price? That's why you see 99% of the time the opinion of value is the purchase price, because all we're trying to do is tell the bank or the secondary lend, you're going to sell that on the open market to a secondary option, and we're just saying, hey, we don't see anything that's preventing this home to not be worth what the purchase price is.
To sell for that purchase price.
Yeah. Now, on a refinance, I mean, we're looking at this, worst case scenario. Sometimes we're like, hey, look, this is a refinance. Could be a second loan position. Who knows? Back in '08, a lot of these got foreclosed on.
Absolutely.
And we're looking at this with a little more conservative value, if I'm being honest. We're
Okay.
looking at this like, hey, what is this potentially going to sell on the open market? Right?
Is there a percentage or is it just a feel?
Oh man, yeah. I always say appraising's art. It
Well, it
is not
definitely
a
is.
science. It's not a science. We're going in with an open mindset, obviously, and it's you're only as good as your data, Craig. We're only as good as the numbers in front of us, right?
And we are a non-disclosure state.
Yep.
It makes it even more
Yep.
difficult for you sometimes.
Yeah, and every home's different. Sometimes you have three sales on the same street in a very cookie cutter neighborhood, makes it really easy, right? And then you have the house, with a lake view, and they have a detached ADU and another garage and a pool. And you got to tell these homeowners, look, I know you paid $150,000 for this pool, but in Utah, you're going to use it for 3 months out of the year, and the market really isn't going to give you back dollar for dollar.
No, that's true.
And
That
people
is
have
true.
to understand that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. So on a refinance, I mean, typically you are going into it a little bit more conservatively. And obviously we're sending it to lenders. Lenders are actually doing their risk assessment on it and basing their final, hey, we're going to refinance your value. Obviously we're not taking 100% out at the time. It's typically, an 80, 85, maybe 90% loan to value, depending on what they're trying to do, whether it's cash out or just a regular refinance of your balance. So it can get tricky sometimes.
Yeah, and the market kind of the market influences us too. But in '08 and '09, when the market was really going down, as appraisers, we were going into it like, "God, what's the potential of this going into foreclosure?"
Yeah.
Because if it does, ultimately, we're the fall guy.
Yeah, that's true. And I do believe I heard in Vegas, 1 out of every 2 homes was in foreclosure in that 2008 era.
No, it was.
It was
I
a
could say
bloodbath.
even it was in Utah. I remember every street had a foreclosure. Now, the good part about this is we're at an all-time low in foreclosures.
Right.
Right? People keep saying, "Oh, foreclosures are up. Foreclosures are up."
No.
Well, yeah, they're up 0.02% at an all-time low,
Yeah.
and
I
we are.
mean, there's nowhere to go but up if that's the case, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when I mentioned that I had bought, a lot of foreclosures back in the day, those were all at the county. Those are all foreclosed, 200, plus homes at the county footsteps.
Wow.
As an appraiser, that market's dried up. As an investor, you never see a home get foreclosed on in Utah anymore. Very rarely do you even see a
No.
short sale,
Yeah.
because we are actually at an all-time high nationally in home equity.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're at an
It's a,
all-time high.
Wasn't it the average homeowner has 150,000 in equity?
I think
I
it's
think I heard
well,
that stat.
closer to 200,000 nationally. Yeah.
You're never going to believe this, but I closed in October on a short sell. It was not in Utah, it was
Mm,
in Arizona, but
yeah.
I closed on a short sell. It only took 90 days as well.
Yeah. Well, that's
We,
saying something.
we almost lost it 3 times, but we
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
ended up closing on it.
And yeah. Yeah. That's surprising. Yeah. You just don't see those like you used to.
No, you sure don't. Oh, let's see here. I have some other questions here. Let's see here. Look, prior to 2008, I mean, like I said, you and I have been working together for a long time, but prior to 2008, if I need an appraisal, I could actually just call you and say, Rick, here's my order. Please go appraise this house. Since that time, with the Dodd-Frank Act and whatnot, all appraisals have started to go through what's called an appraisal management company. And you, as an independent appraiser, you're on a panel of these AMCs, appraisal management companies. And really, there's no way I can even steer a appraisal to you. Sure, I can know what appraisal panels you're on and you're signed up with a company, but even still, there's a half a dozen or dozen or more appraisers that when an order goes through, tell me on your side how that looks. An appraisal comes through, either you click quick or you don't get the deal, or how does that work?
Well, generally they give us half a day to. I mean, we have plenty of time to accept it. There used to be what's called like shotgun orders, which happen when they're in a rush. They might send it to four guys, and the first one to click on it
Got it.
gets it. But it's four guys on their rotation in their panel. But typically, how it's done now is most lenders can set up their own appraiser panel. It usually consists of at least five appraisers
Okay.
and as many as 20, depending on the size of the lender.
And it keeps it
And
from steering, so it's not the
yeah,
same appraiser every time.
yeah. And they basically rotate it. And that's, and then there's AMCs that, you know, they have their own panel with all their lenders and they rotate it the same way. And they probably know which guys are kind of better at certain types of homes.
Such as new
Or
construction or
right.
refinance.
Or yeah, or whatever it might be. I feel like my expertise has been high end homes. So we see a lot of jumbo type loans, very high end homes.
Right.
And we've been covering a lot of those. And we have a really good reputation as far as, tight tight deadlines. And you're trying to get something closed and you need an appraisal. Yeah, you thought you had an appraisal waiver. And then the underwriter comes back and says,
Then it
oh,
disappeared.
wait a minute. We need an appraisal yesterday.
Right.
We kind of have a pretty good reputation of same day service.
Nice. Well, and I'm just going to identify that an appraisal on a jumbo is 836 and above, and a normal appraisal is going to be 836 and some change and below.
Right. Yep.
So, and there's a distinction, and of course, there's two different prices too. If you're appraising a $4.6 million house versus an $825,000 house, there is a slight difference in cost because you do have to search more diligently and find those comps.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's even on your side rate variances for jumbo versus non-jumbo.
Oh yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely there is. Yeah. Well, obviously steering's not a problem anymore because literally if I have a problem on an appraisal, I can't call you and say, hey, why can't we get this value? Or I could get my
Nope.
hands slapped.
Yeah. Any contact is you can't have any contact until the appraisal's been submitted. And then once the appraisal's been submitted, you're okay giving me a call.
But we're still not saying, well, why can't I get this value? Hey, if I give you $50, will you get that for me? No,
Yeah,
none of that. None of that happens.
That no.
And I don't know if it really ever did. Maybe it did, but I mean, I obviously never saw that in the 32 years I was doing business.
To be honest with you, I didn't either. I know there was a lot made of that back in the day, but I never felt too much pressure.
Yeah.
Even in the early 2000s, I didn't, there might have been a few times where they're like, hey, we're trying to hit this number. But I was always like, hey, it's not there. I don't know what to tell you,
I mean, I still think there's some agents out there that are pricing homes wrong. I mean, recently I saw one where, I mean, I did have to do a rebuttal on it, and I mean, the home was a smaller footprint, and some of the comparables that they sent over to me were twice the size.
Oh yeah.
And
You should,
and I'm
yeah.
I'm sure you
get
get
off.
these all the time and say, well, I think
Oh
you
yeah,
should reassess this value because look, these 3 homes sold on this street. I get they're 1,800 square feet bigger, but why can't you come in at the same value?
yeah. If there's any loan officers watching this video, okay, I've had what's called an ROV, reconsideration of value. Okay, you know how many times they've sent me the same comps that are in my report?
Oh my gosh.
Loan officers out there, okay, if you're watching this, read the report before you ask for the ROV. Okay, don't just look at the number and say,
I'm turning
"Oh, I
red
need
because
a."
I'm embarrassed for that. That makes no
It,
sense.
I've had it happen, and I've had to turn around and tell the lender. I say, "Well, you do realize that these 3 comps are in the report.
Well, then why didn't
Read
you
the
use them?
report." It's happened more than once, Craig.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's happened more than once.
Oh, that actually
Yeah,
kind of cracks me up.
yeah.
All right,
So
let's
read
see
the
here.
report. Read the report.
I know we kind of answered this previously, but I kind of want to go through this again just a little bit. Um, and I've written down here, what's your general thought process of appraisals as we determined it's not an exact science, but a professional opinion? When you get the order, you're probably not just running right out to the house. You're probably doing a lot of research first. Kind of walk me through
Yeah.
that process in your mindset.
Yeah, yeah. Generally, depending on refi or purchase, we're following the same kind of steps. First thing I do is I find the address, and usually the very first thing I do is I find out purchase or refinance. Right? If I know, say it's a purchase, I pull up the MLS. The first thing I usually do is I run a radius search in the neighborhood. I do a quick radius search on our tool, and I'll take a square footage and I'll go 500 square feet smaller and 500 square feet larger, and I'll keep it within a half mile. I just want to see what's there, and I'll identify my best comp typically that way.
And typically within a certain time frame of sales too. 6 months, is that kind of the
Yeah,
date,
we
or
go
is it
back
90 days?
12. Yeah, yeah. They want, just so you're aware, FHA has a guideline. They want 290-day sales. If you cannot adhere to that guideline, you have to comment on it.
Mm,
And right now, with seasonal influences, right now there's not a lot of listings.
right.
In
Homes
fact,
don't sell over the winter
if
as
you're
much.
and if you're a buyer watching this video right now in Utah, look for homes in December,
Yeah.
January, and February.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. You're going to get a
uh,
better deal.
you're gonna get a better deal, regardless of where the rates are at. You're gonna save 5% if you just buy in the wintertime in Utah. I have a whole chart on this, Craig. I teach a CE class. I have a whole decade, and every fourth quarter it goes down in the very beginning of the first quarter, and then it starts perking up. And it's as consistent as death and taxes in Utah.
Well,
Okay.
stay tuned because we are actually going to have that class, and I'm going to, sponsor that
Yeah.
class for you with some with some agents and whatnot,
Yeah.
maybe some
So yeah,
lenders as well.
I would say if you're out there right now, you're a first time home buyer, now's your opportunity. Between now and probably March, go out, get you look for a house because you're going to save 3 to 5%. And
Yeah.
that adds up, right?
I have clients all the time that they go out looking, but all they're looking at is days on market. They're not really necessarily. I mean, obviously the same footprint they kind of want, but they're looking at days on market because then they want to go in with a pretty aggressive offer. Which if a
Mm.
seller has a house that's vacant for
Oh yeah,
60, 70, 90 days, they're
yeah,
probably going to get an offer more likely accepted if they go in with a decently aggressive offer anyway.
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. And again, that's just the lack of buyers and sellers in the winter. You're
Yeah.
competing against less. And back to kind of segueing into the market, we are short housing in Utah.
Yes, we
People,
are.
if you're waiting for the bubble to pop, okay, it's not popping that I can see for the next decade. And
Let's see
Kim
what this
Gardner,
sound does.
yeah,
Did
yeah,
everybody hear that? Did
yeah,
everybody hear that?
yeah.
Rick just
And
dropped some
so,
gospel on us.
and I'm not the only one. The University of Utah put out a big study, the Kim Gardner group. You can look it up. and they went into housing and the availability and shortage in the state of Utah. We are short in the next decade close to 300,000 homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, what's our population now? 3.5 million. We're short 300,000 homes.
100,000 homes we're going to be short. We do not have the labor force to build the amount of inventory that is required to keep up with our census data.
Well, and I did see some things, I think just yesterday, on the number of housing starts and the number of homes being built. Nationwide, anyway, we're just slightly over that. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Utah has been a really vast, growing, rapidly state over the last 10, 15 years. Matter of fact, I think we have a in-migration more than a lot of other states. And I know we're on the top 10 for migration from other states to Utah. We're in the top
Yeah,
10.
almost historically, we're always in the top 10.
That's incredible.
And we're almost historically in the top 5 in non-migration out.
Well,
So typically,
go ahead.
yeah, typically when people move here, they stay.
So here's a nugget that both Rick and I are saying. If you buy a house now, because look at all the inventory that is short, your value is going to continue to go up at least until we hit that equilibrium of, okay, we've built enough houses and we're at a spot right here where everybody has a house.
Yeah, yeah, and you're just, I mean, I know rates have been historically, we kind of got spoiled after
Oh,
COVID,
yeah.
right? Those rates aren't, as you know as well as I do, I don't think we're going to have that situation again.
No,
And if
I
we
would be
could,
surprised if we see them in the threes, honestly.
I don't think, unless there's another, what they call a black swan event, right?
Right.
That's,
And
but
the only reason I say that, Rick, is because I have been closing some FHA 5/1 arms, which means it's fixed for 5 years and then it can adjust thereafter. But I've been closing some of those in the low fours.
that's,
Um,
that's incredible, by the
but as
way.
far as a 30-year fixed rate, yeah, you're 5.25, some five and a
And
half.
Craig, what people don't understand, that's still a great rate historically.
It is. In the 32 years I've done it, the average rate has typically been about 5.5%.
Yeah, that's still a great rate.
But of course, everybody's going to bring up the other alternative. Well, yeah, but when a house was $100,000, it was a lot cheaper at 5.5% than it is at four
Yeah,
hundred
yeah.
thousand dollars.
Yeah, there is an affordability issue for sure, especially for probably my kids who are going to be entering the housing market. I
Yeah,
feel their pain. I do feel their pain. Utah has we're one of the top 7 most expensive cities in the United States.
yeah, yeah.
But you tell people, hey, look, if you don't want to live in Utah, you can always move to Missouri
Oof.
and buy a house for 100 grand still. I mean, who wants to? I mean, no offense to Missouri. I don't know if there's
Yeah, I'm,
how
I'm
many
going to
people
try to
from
keep my
Missouri are going to watch
comments.
this, but
I'm going to try to keep my comments nice because
yeah,
that
but there,
sounds
I mean,
like
there's
misery to me.
yeah, but I mean, it's just that the economy here in Utah is growing so rapidly, and if you compare us to say California, we're not expensive.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not that expensive,
Or
and as you
Seattle, or
or
Portland, or
anything on the West Coast, and
Denver.
our median's below Denver currently, and I think our median in the next 10 years will be above Denver.
Right. Well, I always look at that chart. I think we're just slightly higher than Arizona, slightly higher than Idaho, although it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty darn similar. But all
Yeah, it's
those
really
other
close.
states that we mentioned are,
Yeah.
are tremendously higher, specifically the Seattle and the California areas. They're just outlandish.
Yeah, and the Silicon Slopes is a real thing. There's a lot of
Yeah,
tech jobs coming here. There's a lot, that's why our economy's booming. We got hockey now. We got Major League Baseball perhaps
hopefully.
coming.
I mean, build it, they will
Um,
come, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
Will we
Ryan
ever get a
Smith.
football team?
Oh, now you're speaking my language, Craig.
I would love to see
Yeah,
it. I
I
would
would
love to see
love to
it.
see it. I think it's on the docket. I think it's going to be a little bit, but I
I mean, we
think
got soccer, we got some baseball, we got basketball
yeah,
for sure. I mean, we got the
yeah,
hockey. I mean, there's
and
a lot of good things there,
and the outdoor sports you can't compete.
no doubt, no doubt.
So, for example, you can get off for anyone out of state who's watching this video. You can get off a plane in Utah in Salt Lake City Airport, be downtown in about 10 minutes, and in a ski resort in the mountains in 30 minutes.
That's true. And I
Okay.
believe Delta used to do a thing where if you took your ticket from Delta straight to the ski desk, they would actually let you jump on the lift and go skiing and then come back after the fact and actually take
Oh,
care of things.
I didn't
I
know that.
don't know if
Yeah.
that I don't know if they do that anymore, but I know that was a thing at one point.
Yeah.
Take your ticket right to the ski resort.
Yeah. And we have a top 5 airport in the United States as well. I think we have direct flights to basically every major metropolitan city,
Right.
which is
It's
not
a
everybody
great
can say
airport
that.
and
Yeah.
it's brand
It's
new.
an awesome airport and it's an awesome city. We're growing. Prices are going to grow with it. We just have to adapt.
So speaking of that, I had heard a stat that in the next 10 years, values of houses here will double. I want your gospel opinion on that.
Well, I do read some of that comment. I know what you're talking about there. I did read something recently where the median in Salt Lake City, the median by 2033 will be 1,065,000, which is almost double. We're about, I mean, it's coming. Yep.
Once again, we need to buy houses now, and every one of our children, we need to make sure and help them figure out a way to get into a house because the way wealth is actually driven is truly through real estate usually.
It really is. Yeah. You, even if it's high, even if it is a significantly more than rent, you're getting the tax write off, you're getting the appreciation. And I mean, and there's something more to a home than a mortgage. I mean, when you're renting, it's not truly your home.
No, it's not.
You control where you're gonna, at any time your landlord can tell you to move.
True. And there's pride of ownership when you actually own the place and you want to make it nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's proven it does actually augment neighborhoods when people are owners there for sure.
Yeah, and I would,
Not trying to diss anything on renters by any means because we all were there at one point. But buy a home, put a shingle down, put in some roots, and you're absolutely going to benefit from it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to shift gears here. I got another
Okay,
question here
let's
for
do
you.
it.
We
Yep.
kind of discussed this. We kind of touched on this a little bit in what we were talking about. But the big question here is what are the landmines that you see in an appraisal? And I know you touched on
Yeah,
pools. Pools
yeah.
can be a
Well,
landmine.
yes. So if I'm a buyer out there and I'm trying to avoid landmines, as you put it, I would say there's several that if I were an agent, I would try to educate my buyers, right, or a loan officer. Busy roads would be my first one.
Got it.
I would say do not buy on a busy road, just because you're gonna change the. You ever go to resell that home? You're looking at 80% of people don't want to be on a busy road. That's why, as an appraiser, I know that the price per square foot for homes on busy roads are less than off a busy street. That's
Same
even
exact house, one block back, and it's going to be a different price.
different price. Yeah, to stay off a busy road. Typically, you want to be the smallest house in the nicest neighborhood for appreciation. Locations just, I mean, it's such a location.
That's always going to be the case there. Location,
Yeah,
location.
yeah, exactly. And I would say everything depreciates. Don't be scared of, like you said earlier, some sweat equity. Buy something, and I would look at location above all else.
So, for example, if there was a nice home in a really fantastic area that maybe has just been a little dilapidated,
Yeah,
maybe the person's older, they just can't keep it up. You would look at something like that and renovate it rather than buy the top end of the market because your value appreciation is going to jump much higher.
agree. Yeah, but there's also certain people who don't want to get into a remodel and they're too busy, and I can understand that as well.
It's a lot of
Um,
work.
it's a lot of work, and you have to be ready for that. And some people don't have the, and if you got to be really honest with yourself, whether you have the time to do it and in the reserves, the money to do it. So, if you own your own business and you're working 80 hours a week, you don't want to buy that fixer upper.
No, you really don't.
You
So, what
know,
about solar panels?
good question. Really a great question. You don't get dollar for dollar, and you only get value if they're paid off.
True.
And I, I do feel though, Craig, that eventually solar panels are going to be more predominant with the cost of power, with all the AI and the infrastructure, and they're going to have to be, if they have to take power off the grid to push these AI data centers. I think the cost of power is going to go way up.
Yeah. So jump on that now and make sure you have your mini generator on your roof, which is your solar panel.
Yeah, I think it's a decent long-term investment, but if you have a loan on it, you're not going to get it on a refinance,
Right.
but you will recoup it on a sale of your home.
And just a side note on that, there is an FHA solar program that I do talk about in another video that's on our channel that you absolutely should check out, because it does give people $13,000 cold cash towards closing costs, or even on a refinance, they can pay off a second mortgage with this program. We're not going to talk about that here, but I do have another video on the channel that you guys should check out. What about Zeroscape? What about those type of things? Does that, I mean, when I go home, I like to have nice grass. I want to walk through it. I don't want to have
I'm a landscape guy. You're talking to a guy who loves his yard, right?
I don't want the heat baking off the Zeroscape because I don't want to put water on it, and I'm saving water, which I get it. We're in the desert. We need to save water, but what about Zeroscape? Does that actually help value? Or
no,
value?
landscape's landscape, Craig. Whether it's Zeroscape, if you have sprinklers, if you don't have sprinklers or you don't have landscape, you get a downward adjustment. You have to have something.
Right.
Generally, it costs more to Zeroscape your house. The fake grass is a lot more money than people can imagine.
And it doesn't cool things down. It actually heats it up.
It actually heats it up. So, I mean, that's one of those things where, everyone's opinion on that's going to vary a little bit.
Right.
If I was down in St. George, I would probably have Zeroscape.
Yeah. But you're also going to have the pool, and it's normal there, and we're definitely dipping in the pool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you're up in Utah in the mountains, you're not benefiting too much from that.
No, you're really not. I know there's some other things as well. I mean, obviously used car lots, or, and our CC&Rs here typically in Utah are very, very strict. It's unlike Texas, which I'm not dogging on Texas, but you could have a church, you could have a school, you could have a tire shop, you could have a landfill, all in the same lot that you have homes built as well, with some different things that they have down there. Here, I think they've done a real good job on making sure that those are segmented in different areas. So you probably don't see that as much in houses. I'm sure you see canals and those type of things, power lines, easements, those type of things.
Yeah. Generally, you want to stay away from those type of things too, like a busy road, power lines, anything that might detract somebody from looking at your home.
Yeah, very cool. All right, now I want to shift gears a little bit into this. You agents that are out there right now, I think this is probably a really key thing. Now, granted, everybody has the CMA ability. You can go out and see what's listed, and you can throw it into a system, and you can see what values are, and so on and so forth. But why not call Rick specifically on your high-end homes that you're listing, and have Rick do a pre-appraisal on this thing? And I know, Rick, you teach a class on this. You have that appraisal ready to go, sitting on the counter when anybody walks through the house. And also when the appraiser comes to actually do the house, you have an appraisal that's been fully done, vetted out, professionally done, so that it kind of justifies the value of a listing agent listing one of those houses.
Yeah, generally I like working with the agents. I want to know what they think before I even go into the assignment. And we can work together and say, hey, let's do our due diligence as an agent. To, your job is to be a fiduciary on behalf of your client. For the cost of an appraisal, it really isn't that much. And then you already have perhaps a trump card in case you get a low appraisal.
That's true. Because that is a good trump card. If I have a reconsideration of value, well, hey, I have an appraisal that was done 30 days ago, and here's all the comps, and here's the information.
I have a couple of investors who use our office, and they get every one of their homes pre-appraised. In fact, one of them gets it pre-appraised, and he also gets it pre-inspected.
I like that too.
I think that's a great idea. So when he has, I'm seeing a lot of unrepresented buyers coming into homes these days, especially millennials who just get on Zillow and they're going into open houses, unrepresented. And
Which I
if you
have an
already,
opinion on that, and it's not good.
yeah,
Please
it's
do
not,
not
yeah,
go in
yeah,
unrepresented. The seller has an
yeah,
agent that's representing
yeah.
them, not you.
I'm with you on that. And so if you already have all that information, to somebody who has done that, they're going to feel a little more at ease at maybe offering on the home.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's awesome. Rick,
Hmm.
what else? What else can you tell us about real estate or not real
Well,
estate, appraisals? I mean, this is
man, we
great.
could
This
go
is
into a
good
lot of things. So I don't know if we
information.
have time for it.
What's one nugget you would tell people if they're going to list their house, or even someone going to buy a house? What's just one nugget that you can possibly think of?
Um,
I know we're
it's a
not
good
going near
question.
the busy streets.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
is there anything
Um,
to avoid? I mean, obviously, it's good to get an inspection because then you know what's wrong with the house. But your
yeah,
inspection and the appraisal are two different things, and they're really not the same.
yeah. I think like we talked about seasonal influences. I think if I was a first time home buyer, I'd be looking at duplexes, fourplexes. Just if you don't have kids and you're looking for an investment, I would make sure my first home had income potential. And if I'm buying a single family, I'd be looking for something with a mother-in-law apartment.
I love it.
Because I think down the road you can keep that house. It can be an income generator, and you can move on to because your first home's not going to be your last home,
No,
right?
not at all.
And rents are going up, and I would try to find a property that'll be income producing, and that would be my first purchase if I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. And of course, the first time home buyers these days are 39 years old.
Yeah.
So it
They're
ain't
not
like it used
they're
to
not
be.
21 or 19. Well, and
Yeah.
also just to add to that, Rick, conventional as well as FHA does allow someone to buy a duplex, triplex,
Yep.
fourplex,
Yep.
capped at 4, and live in one of the units and consider it a primary residence, and you still get your FHA 3.5% down, and on your conventional 3 to 5% down. So
Yeah,
there's still that
absolutely.
ability to do it.
Yeah, and what I do as an appraiser on those, Craig, is I can provide a rent survey for that basement mother-in-law as long as it meets some criteria.
Right.
You're going to be able to use those rents to qualify for that house.
It's more income, helps them
It's
qualify.
awesome. Yeah,
See,
and you just need a
we just solved things right here, Rick. You and I just
yeah,
solved the fact that there is a expense problem for first time home buyers. We just solved that. You just buy a
yeah,
duplex or a fourplex, and we're good.
yeah. Duplex, fourplex, or a mother-in-law apartment, and you're going to qualify easier for that loan. And in 5 years, those rents are going to go up probably 20%.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's see here what kind of music we can have here. Look, I sure appreciate you being here, Rick. It's been amazing. For you guys out there, like, subscribe. This channel is free. It actually has a lot of good information, whether it's title, whether it's mortgage, whether it's real estate, whether it's appraisals, investments, wholesaling. I mean, this channel is designed to help you guys, give you information without obligation. Of course, we'd love for you to reach out to us and have one of us represent you on a transaction. But at the same point, this information is free for you to get educated and make the best decisions. And with that, I think I know what song this is that we're going to play.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Open up the
I like it.
champagne. It's
Yeah,
my house. Come on.
It's my
like
house.
it.
Come on.
I like it.
So with that, guys, I sure appreciate you. Be sure and subscribe. Go to the channel and see all the other content that we have.